hit you hallelujah. Girls hit you hallelujah. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on. Don't believe me, just watch. 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 Hey, 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 oh! Stop. Wait a minute. Fill my cup, put some nigga in it. Take a sip, sign the check. Julio, get the stretch. Right to Harlem, Hollywood, Jackson, Mississippi. If we show up, we gon' show out. Smoother than a fresh drop skipping. I'm too hot. Call the police and the fireman. I'm too hot. Make a dragon wanna retire, man. I'm too hot. Bitch, say my name, you know who I am. I'm too hot. And my band bought that money. Break it down. Girls hit you hallelujah. Girls hit you hallelujah. Girls hit you hallelujah. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on. Don't believe me, just watch. 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 Hey, 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 oh! Before we leave, let me tell y'all a little something. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. I said uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Come on, dance, jump on it. If you sexed and flown it. If you freak dead and own it. Don't brag about it, come show me. Come on, dance, jump on it. If you sexed and flown it. Well, it's Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe it, just watch. Come on. Don't believe me, just watch. 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 Hey, 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 oh!
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, good things we've been through. That I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place. See you in a better place. I can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side, and now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
First you both go out your way and the vibe is feeling strong. And what's small turn to a friendship turn to a bond, and that bond will never be broken, the love will never get lost. And when brotherhood come first, then the line will never be crossed. Established it on our own when that line had to be drawn, and that line is what we reach, so remember me when I'm gone. How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side, and now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
Let the light guide your way. Yeah. Hold every memory as you go, and every road you take will always lead you home. Oh, it's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
That was worth the hour it took to render. So, in many ways, Polymer has been a sort of Tesla vehicle for the Chrome team, highlighting one path for how you can ship fast, high-performance progressive web apps that work really, really well on mobile. But we work in a really diverse community, right? Like, everyone is using different tech stacks, and today we wanted to talk a little bit about how you can use other libraries and frameworks like React to build, fast progressive web apps, and looking at, what do you need to do in order to make things like React qualify to build instant experiences on real devices. Flipkart are going to get up right after me to talk a little bit about their experience shipping React PWAs at scale and all of the lessons that they learned. And we have a little surprise for you at the tail end of this talk that you'll see in a short while. So let's start off with this statement. Frameworks can be fast if we put the work in. I firmly believe this. I think that we're at a point where, fast is not the default for a lot of libraries and frameworks. I think that a lot of framework authors acknowledge that, we can do better when it comes to performance on real-world devices. But let's take a look at what's possible today. So this is Flipkart on a real device. They're doing really, really well. They're interactive in just a few seconds. They're shipping just the minimal functional code to get a route interactive very, very quickly. They're deferring a lot of the work that's not needed for this route to a future point in time. And they're taking advantage of techniques like code splitting and Purple in order to accomplish this. Housing.com are similarly doing really great work in this area. Again, they're interactive in just a few seconds. But we talk a lot about speed and what it means to be fast at CDS. What do we actually mean by fast? So there are a few key moments when it comes to modern loading performance. And some of these metrics are things you might be familiar with. So the idea of first paint, first meaningful paint. But really there are three phases here. There's the is it happening moment, is it useful, and is it usable? Now we're increasingly trying to focus on the is it usable phase. So time to interactive. So at one point during loading, is your app actually engageable by the user? If they tap on different things inside the app, can they actually accomplish things that are useful to them? And time to interactive is really, it's that point when I can tap and I can get something useful. Now we're saying that ideally, if you're, regardless of what it is that you're using to build these apps, it'd be great to be interactive in under 5 seconds on a real device under real representative network conditions, so 3G. If you happen to be using service worker caching, you're going to benefit from sort of trying to ideally hit an instant repeat load, and your time to interactivity is going to be even better in those cases. So service worker caching, definitely worth looking at. In this case, there's actually nothing on this person's phone screen, and I think they're going through withdrawal of some sort here. So Lighthouse has been mentioned. Darren mentioned it in his keynote. Lighthouse is currently one of the best ways to easily track things like time to interactivity. It includes a number of different performance metrics. This is the Lighthouse extension. It's also available as a CLI. But time to interactive is included inside the performance audits. And if you want to take a look at how well you're doing, what I recommend is trying out Lighthouse over remote debugging. Testing it with a real phone. It'll give you sort of an eye-opening look at your performance on real-world devices. So that's definitely worth spending some time on. So recently, I was very curious about how the React community were shipping down code, how they were tackling things like module bundling. So I put out this call on Twitter asking people, have you shipped React in production, and what were your experiences doing that? And I've published a little bit of the data on that, but let's dive into it. So what JavaScript module bundler do you use? The majority of people are using Webpack. It breaks down into sort of 65% of people are using Webpack 1, a smaller number are using Webpack 2, but those numbers are increasing. And the rest of these numbers are sort of Browserify and other bits and pieces. So Webpack is kind of a big deal. Let's take that from this particular slide. I then asked people if they were using code splitting to chunk up their JavaScript. And I got a very surprising answer. I saw that 58% of people thought that they were. Now this surprised me because when I talked to the Webpack community, when I talked to the Webpack authors, they were like, we don't think that any more than 10% of people are really using code splitting. And there's something interesting there. Maybe there's a breakdown in terminology. Maybe people are using code splitting but not necessarily doing it the right way. And I don't kind of blame them because configuring Webpack is so fun. It's the best. But I think that we have opportunity to improve that. Other concepts that people were looking at, so 11% of respondents said that they were exploring service worker support, so that's good. Love to see more people doing that. 14% were looking at HTTP2 and what would be involved in sort of granularly shipping stuff down. And 19% were looking at tree shaking, so interesting stats. Now, we mentioned the Polymer Shop demo quite a lot. And the reason for that is it's using Purple. It does really, really well on real-world devices under 3G. So on throttled 3G, this app is interactive in about 4.3 seconds. So about 4 seconds. If you're looking at it with a really, really bad 3G network, so something with more packet loss, it's still doing pretty good, 5.8 seconds. We take a look at Flipkart and Housing.com next. And Flipkart is in, between these two apps, I did the averages, and they're getting interactive in about 4.5 seconds, so still fairly fast, fairly good. About 6.9, with packet loss, but they're still doing pretty well. So these guys are using basically all of the tooling, all of the performance best practices that we're encouraging folks to take a look at to ship these experiences down in ways that are going to ideally benefit their users at the end of the day. So here's the crux of the study. I ended up profiling over 150 React apps that people submitted over the last couple of weeks. Read the numbers quite a lot of times. It was fun, so fun, on real devices. And what I discovered was that the average React app in that survey was interactive in about 11 seconds. So there's quite a gap there between what's possible and where the average app is right now. With packet loss, we're looking at 12 seconds. Probably the worst app in that particular study was interactive in 24 seconds. So the user is going to be in uncanny valley, just like tapping around the screen and not really seeing anything happening. So this is a sort of a timeline trace of what the average React app built with Webpack looks like. In this case, I saw hundreds of kilobytes of script being shipped down just for a single route. A lot of it wasn't being used. They are using code splitting, but they're actually, it's taking 8 seconds before all of the script and their common chunks are being shipped down. Thousands of seconds are being spent in parse and eval time. And for anyone that sort of followed Paul Lewis and Paul Irish's guidance over the last couple of years about, trying to ship a frame in 16.6 milliseconds, well, these guys have got a frame that lasts 7,973. It's doing really great there. It's great. But we can do better. So first piece of advice is try not to keep the main thread busy. If you are someone that's shipping down really large bundles of JavaScript, it's going to take longer to load, parse, execute, and run. It's definitely going to peg the main thread. Now, this advice comes with nuance. And nuance is something we often lack in these conversations. It's really tricky to pack it into a short amount of time. But basically, if you're working on a page that is not going to be useful to your user in any way unless you ship that amount of script, you're probably better off shipping it. If you can, however, trim that down so that you're just shipping the minimal functional stuff that's going to be useful to your users, please consider doing that. It's going to help them out because they're not going to need you shipping like all of the script for the entire site or the entire app in one go. Other things that can impact sort of the main thread being busy and time to interactivity are sort of suboptimal back and forth between the client and the server. Sam Saccone touched a little bit on the idea of JavaScript parse, compile, and eval execution times being a little bit different between desktop devices and mobile. Here we have a meg of script, about 250 kilobytes minified, and the amount of time it takes to parse and compile it on what a lot of us, I see a lot of MacBooks in the room, this is how long it takes to sort of parse and execute that on a MacBook Pro from 2015. And take a look at the difference, like how much our assumptions are broken when it comes to the average phone, something like a Moto G. This is taking about 3 seconds to parse, compile, and execute, and that's not even looking at load time. Like if you're trying to get interactive in under 5 seconds, this is just not going to cut it. But all of this, again, it's got nuance. You need to make sure that you're measuring before you're optimizing, but you're ideally trying to make sure you're doing the right thing for users. Test on real phones and real networks. This is something that we've mentioned in a few talks at Chrome Dev Summit. I cannot stress enough how important it is to test on real devices. Emulation is only going to get you so far. You can be testing with 3G throttling on.
Nice to meet you, where you been? I could show you incredible things. Magic, madness, heaven, sin. Saw you there and I thought, oh my god, look at that face. You look like my next mistake. Love's a game, wanna play. New money, suit and tie. I can read you like a magazine. Ain't it funny, rumors fly. And I know you heard about me, so hey, let's be friends. I'm dying to see how this one ends. Grab your passport and my hand. I can make the bad guys good for a weekend. So it's gonna be forever, or it's gonna go down in flames. You can tell me when it's over, if the high was worth the pain. Got a long list of ex-lovers, they'll tell you I'm insane. 'Cause you know I love the players, and you love the game. 'Cause we're young and we're reckless, we'll take this way too far. It'll leave you breathless, or with a nasty scar. Got a long list of ex-lovers, they'll tell you I'm insane. But I've got a blank space, baby, and I'll write your name. Cherry lips, crystal skies. I could show you incredible things. Stolen kisses, pretty lies. You're the king, baby, I'm your queen. Find out what you want, be that girl for a month. Wait, the worst is yet to come. Oh no, screaming, crying, perfect storms. I can make all the tables turn. dressed like a daydream. So it's gonna be forever, or it's gonna go down in flames. You can tell me when it's over, if the high was worth the pain. Got a long list of ex-lovers, they'll tell you I'm insane. 'Cause you know I love the players, and you love the game. 'Cause we're young and we're reckless, we'll take this way too far. It'll leave you breathless, or with a nasty scar. Got a long list of ex-lovers, they'll tell you I'm insane. But I've got a blank space, baby, and I'll write your name. Boys only want love if it's torture.